When you're trading tennis on Betfair, just what is a typical or average profit per trade, and how profitable can tennis trading be? Do you put small money in the market to make big money, or is it big money to make small returns? In this video, I'm going to show you the typical returns from my own trades, and also just how much I lose when I do have a losing trade, which should give you a much idea about what to expect when it comes to average profit per trade. Go grab a nice cold beer and a Greg's sausage roll, and let's get into it. So there are two ways of looking at this. There is number one, your return on risk, and number two, your return on investment, aka the stake you are using. Because some people have watched the recent videos and said, well, this is all well and good, but you're risking £500 stakes to make smaller amounts. It's not really worth the risk reward. However, they're not keeping in mind, and I've said it a few times in a video, that I'm not risking that full £500. Okay, we should actually be paying more attention to number one, the return on what I am actually risking, which I will explain more about right now. Okay, so just remember that when we are trading out of the market when a trade goes wrong. So it means our risk is actually much lower than the stake that we use. Okay, and of course we're often doing lay-in, so people often get confused about what the stake actually is, and I will explain more about that in a moment. But for you to lay and use a £1,000 stake, and if you were laying at say 1.01, well, you only need £10 in your Betfair account. Okay, so you could technically be paying with £1,000 stakes, and you only have a £10 in your Betfair account. So that's where a few people do get a little bit confused with it, and I can kind of see why at the same time. But hopefully this video is going to explain it a lot more, and just what the differences are between looking at the return we get on our risk, what we do actually risk, versus the return on the stake. So I'm going to explain that right now. But before we do, if you like this channel, if you're liking this video so far and the idea behind it, please do click the like button. It really, really does help to support the channel. And it also helps you get more content just like this. YouTube do try and hide trading videos, and they don't show them to you as much in your feed. So you have to let YouTube know that this is what you want to see. And that's how you do it, is by clicking the like button. Okay, so once that's clicked, we will move on. And so let me just explain an actual trade using one of my own strategies. And this is one of the strategies you learn inside Ultimate Tennis Trade. And this is the money method. Okay, so what you can see is that the lay stake is £100. But the actual money exposed to the market was £42. So technically, for you to do this trade, you only need £42 in your Betfair account. Okay, so some people might look at this and say, okay, well, he's risking £42 in this trade, but the actual money risked is not going to be that whole £42, because if the trade goes against us, we will trade out. And for this one, it's probably safe to assume that if this particular trade anyway, goes wrong, then we would probably lock in a loss of £21. Okay, in this case, we made a profit of pretty much £26 locked in. Okay, for those difficult people in the comments, I'm sure you can see the differences, but you can kind of see the balance. It is £26 locked in. So that means the returns were, our return on risk 104%. The return on our stake was 60%. And these are pretty good returns from any sort of sports trade, let alone a tennis trade. And with tennis trading, it is mentally easier to trade with this sort of risk reward ratio in mind, since one loser can easily be recouped in the next trade and so on. It's not like you have one loser and then you need 5 or 6 trades to kind of catch up, which is much easier to handle mentally. So when you think about it, the return on the risk, what we actually risked wasn't the £42, it was the £21 if we lost the trade. Okay, but the return on the stake we used was a 60% return on the stake. So you can have a think about that with regards to your own stakes, the stakes that you like to use, and you've got a much better idea now of kind of the average returns you do expect when you are trading tennis. If you are trading tennis properly, that is. But I do just want to say the doors are currently open to the premium course where you can learn all these strategies for yourself. It is the complete course. First time we've opened in over a year. And as I upload the video, there are still a few spots left. I'm not sure about by tonight, but either way, click the link in the description and enter your very best email address, and we will email you with details if there are still spots available. If there are no spots available, you will have to go on the waiting list. You'll get an email back either way, okay? So that is the ultimate tennis trading course where you get the 5 strategies and pretty much the same strategies I'm talking about in this same video, okay? So anyway, as mentioned, click the link in the description, enter your very best email address. There is still time to get in as I upload this video anyway. But let me show you a trade where we actually took a loss. And this is where it might get slightly confusing for some people, because I have had a few people in the comments saying, well, when you lose a trade, what sort of losses can you take? Well, in tennis trading, when you actually lose a trade, it's not the end of the story there and then. So it's not like the trade goes against us, we lock in a loss, and then we just have to call it a day. The tennis trading markets always give you a chance. They're very, very forgiving, unlike the markets in, say, football. In football, when the markets get against you, you're kind of hoping, maybe praying for a goal to swing the markets back in your favor. But in tennis trading, just the natural ebb and flow of the match can easily put the markets back in your favor. And so the loss that you could potentially take might not be as bad, okay? So let me just explain it. So this is the same strategy, and this is demonstrated inside the course as well. You can see that we've laid Rublev, we've got £100 of green, £45 of risk, but this trade is going against us. If you look at the cash out amount, it looks like we should be accepting a £17 loss, okay? This is definitely not going to plan at all. However, we don't necessarily have to take that £17 loss straight away, okay? We could see how the match develops, especially considering this is pretty early in the match. And in this case, just by waiting a little bit, we actually managed to get that loss down significantly lower. And so the actual loss in this case was only £6. So if you think back to when we won the trade and we locked in, what was it, £26, if we lose the trade and we work some magic, use some patience to get that loss down lower, well, what is our actual return on our risk? Our risk in this case was only £6, okay? If we won it, we could have made around £26. It is the same strategy as mentioned earlier on. So that's the thing with tennis trading. When you do get in a losing position, it's not the end of the story, okay? There is always a chance. There is always a chance to try and get that loss lower. And this is a very good example of doing exactly that. In this case, we got that loss dramatically lower, okay, from a £17 loss down to a £6 loss. Now, for those who are watching who want to use bigger stakes, if that was a £170 loss, but you got it down to £60 loss, I'm sure you'd be very, very proud of that, okay? And that is exactly what can happen very, very often in tennis trading. So I have had a lot of comments from people kind of wondering about this, and this is probably the best way to explain it within tennis trading, is that the losses are negotiable is the best way to look at it anyway. But anyway, I don't want to take away from what was the main point of the video. And the main point of the video was to just give you an idea of the average returns per trade and the regular or expected risk reward ratio within tennis trading, because that is what a lot of people have been wondering who are new to this sport. And so I'm going to show you some other trades, and all these trades are demonstrated inside Ultimate Tennis Trading as well, so you can see exactly how it plays out, and you can see exactly how you can get those losses lower when you do end up in a losing position. Okay, you do need to be prepared for that. It's not every single trade you get in and you're going to win. There are obviously going to be losses, and you need to be equipped to know how to not just handle them, but how to potentially minimize them. But anyway, here was an example of a trade. I think this was the same strategy where it's a 70% return on investment, return on the stake we used, but it's 100% return on the actual risk. Okay, and as mentioned at the start of the video, you should know the difference between these two. And by the way, that was all done within 14 minutes. So it just shows you again how quick the trades can be within tennis trading. And here was another one. Okay, 80% return on investment, return on the stake, but 160% return on what we were actually risking in the trade, and that was done within 9 minutes. Okay, so this is definitely the sort of risk-reward ratio that you kind of want, and this is typical of my own style of tennis trading anyway. There are some people who might want to go in a completely opposite direction, but this way you keep it low stress. Okay, if you do lose one trade, you know that, you know what, next time you get in the market, you could win back that loss and get some profit on top of that, and you're not so stressed out, rather than you lose one trade and it's like, well, 4 or 5 in a row just to get back even. I mean, what if you lose 2 in a row? And then you're really climbing up a mountain. Okay, within tennis trading, it's a lot more forgiving than other sports can be. But anyway, I do just want to remind you, we are very, very close to closing the doors on Ultimate Tennis Trading, and this is the first time we've opened this in over a year. Not sure when we're going to open it again, but if you are interested, you want to get the full course, click the link in the description. You learn how to trade a tennis match from start to finish, even if you know nothing about tennis. Okay, you learn how to do the research to pick out your trades, and you get 5 strategies as well, and they're all pretty much like you just saw in this video: low risk, high reward. And you also learn how to minimize those losses. It's even possible to turn your losses to 0 in certain situations, because the tennis markets are quite forgiving. They always give you a chance. And like I said, even when you get in those losing position, the losses are negotiable. Okay. But anyway, if you are interested in learning how to trade tennis, click the link in the description. If there are still spots available, you should get an email back with more details. If the doors are closed, we will just add you to the waiting list. Okay. It is as simple as that. Click the link in the description, put in your best email address if you want to learn more. And if you do really, really want to learn more about tennis trading, this video on the screen is really, really good. I show you and give you a sneak peek at all the very best strategies that most people are using within tennis trading. And you should just head over there and check it out now. Okay, click on that and I'll see you in the next video.